why is the Democratic Party trying to disenfranchise those people? What's happened to the party? I don't think my father would recognize this party, and I don't think my uncle would recognize this party.
Ah, that's right. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. telling the truth that his uncle, John F. Kennedy, the President of the United States, shot in the head and killed by Lee Harvey Oswald, a Castro, Cuba-loving communist, just like Barack Obama and the Democrat Party, and his father, Robert F. Kennedy, shot and killed by a Palestinian Israel hater. See, the Democrat Party has become those assassins. Said they wouldn't recognize today's Democrat Party. You think they all have monkeypox? You know that the Democratic convention in Chicago had to be a monkeypox super spreader. Everybody knows it. I went looking to see whether monkeypox made a big comeback at the Democratic National Convention. They're not reporting on that yet, but they spend most of their time covering up the news, not covering the news, of course. The New York Post has the story. Democratic National Convention surprise guests. You know, they lied to us. They spread these false rumors on social media. They should all be banned, right? Alexander Vindman should be banned from X by Elon Musk as well for his threat against the First Amendment. He, honestly, where they get these people like Walls, you know, Tim Walls, who spent 20-something years on the National Guard, but he doesn't stand for American values. And Alexander Vindman rose to the rank of lieutenant colonel. And in fact, my inside sources told me that he had actually been accepted. He had been, he was going to make full colonel when he retired, but he didn't know it. I knew it, but he didn't know it. And he was going to make full colonel, and he might have stayed in, but he betrayed his country, betrayed his commander-in-chief. He's a left-wing Ukrainian-American, bad guy, not a good guy. But never mind that. The Democratic National Convention surprise guest, remember they lied, and they said, oh, Beyonce's going to show up, and Taylor Swift's airplane is in the air coming into Chicago, trying to get eyeballs on the TV screen because who cares about the Democratic National Convention? They corrupted everything, corrupted the President of the United States, corrupted the Vice President, corrupted the process. Kamala Harris is the nominee without ever receiving a single vote in a single primary in 2020 or in 2024. But she's their boy, so amazing stuff. Now, the New York Post, Democratic National Convention surprise guest turns out to be COVID-19. COVID-19. Yeah, it's COVID-19. We haven't gotten to the monkeypox story yet. It's a little more sensitive. People don't go around bragging that they got the monkeypox. They call it Mpox now because they didn't like monkeypox. It's too hurtful to monkeys, and you know how they feel about monkeys. So multiple attendees at Democratic National Convention test positive for COVID-19. Ryan King at the New York Post writing the story. Maybe there was a surprise guest at the Democratic National Convention after all. Multiple attendees at the convention in Chicago last week subsequently tested positive for the COVID-19 respiratory illness. But aren't they all vaccinated? And didn't Joe Biden tell us that when you're vaccinated, you don't get COVID-19? And he's a lying Sacagawea. I think we all know that. As health officials worry about infections spiking across the country, when you spend 5 days in Chicago for the DNC and come home with COVID-19, womp womp. Christopher Wiggins, a reporter at The Advocate, an LGBTQ magazine, posted on X. What about monkeypox, though? Shouldn't you be looking into monkeypox? Christopher Wiggins. That's so they got Wuhan, bit of a Wuhan outbreak because the Wuhan Red Death is it's still out there because commies were playing with joims, I tell you, at the Wuhan Institute of Virology in Wuhan, China. They enjoyed some funding thanks to Anthony Fauci. Anthony Fauci, who is now done. Does he have monkeypox? No, he's got West Nile virus. How did he get West Nile virus, you might want to know? Hard to say. Maybe, I don't want to, but it could be. Multiple attendees at the convention in Chicago last week subsequently tested positive for COVID-19 respiratory illness. And you spend 5 days in Chicago, you come home with the COVID-19. Several others also shared their diagnoses on social media. Indeed, I arrived at the DNC healthy and hopeful. Yeah. And left very sick. It's probably venereal in nature. And disillusioned. A human rights lawyer, Yasmin Taib, wrote on X. Well, you know, you're hanging out with a lot of unclean people, and everybody's vaccinated and boosted and double vaxxed and triple vaxxed and all this good stuff. So you people posting their COVID tests online, photographs online, isn't that great? Showed up healthy, went home, Wuhan. Because you guys, but I thought you guys figured all this out. I thought this was all. And Joe Biden made everything better, didn't he?
You're okay. You're not going to get COVID if you have these vaccinations.
See, you're not going to get COVID if you have these vaccinations, plural. Read no shortcuts. A friend who was at the DNC posted a positive test and said the surprise guest was, in fact, COVID. You're a Democrat Party. All right, so get well soon. And when you say get well soon to the Democrats, that has multiple meanings, doesn't it? Yes, it does. All right, let's get back to RFK, a little bit of RFK. And we've got President Trump that I wish to share with you as well. President Trump, who was at Arlington National Cemetery today for the ceremony, wreath layings, the graves of 13 Americans murdered by a radical Islamist troglodyte suicide bomber at Hamid Karzai International Airport in Kabul, Afghanistan 3 years ago today, when they should have been using Bagram Air Base to evacuate, but every decision was a stupid decision. Joe Biden continues his endless summer vacation, and Kamala, what's she doing? She's cackling somewhere, and she doesn't have to do interviews or anything. RFK Jr., he's been around this Democrat Party thing for quite some time. You know, his uncle Jack, John F. Kennedy, was chosen to be the Democrat nominee in 1960, and then he went on to win.
I attended my first Democratic convention at the age of 6 in 1960. And back then, the Democrats were the champions of the Constitution, of civil rights. I left that party in October because it had departed so dramatically from the core values that I grew up with. It had become the party of war, censorship, corruption, big pharma, big tech, big ag, and big money.
And corruption. But he threw in censorship. They're the party of war. By the way, your uncle got the first American troops into Vietnam, and then when he was shot in the head and killed, his follow-on, his replacement, LBJ, Lyndon Baines Johnson, got us into Vietnam up to our eyeballs. And by the way, it was, let me see, the president of the Confederate States of America was a Democrat named Jefferson Davis, and the president presided over our entry into World War I, was a progressive Democrat, right, who got us into World War I, the war to end all wars, until the next progressive Democrat, FDR, came along and got us into World War II, and then Harry Truman got us into the Korean War. Then your uncle and LBJ got us into the Vietnam War. The Democrat Party has always, point being, Democrat Party has always been the party of war, and they are the party of censorship and all this other amazing stuff. Am I right? And big tech and big pharma. See, I'm not like an anti-big pharma person. Name a pharmaceutical company, Pfizer. Pfizer saved more lives last year than the United Nations, but they love the United Nations. So that was RFK in Arizona by himself on Friday, and then he married up on stage with President Trump, and they got together because he came to endorse President Trump, and stranger things have happened, but not many.
He wanted to end the censorship because the whole basis of American democracy is the free flow of information.
Yep.
And we know that a government that can silence its opponents has license for any kind of atrocity. And can you think of any time that you can look back in history and say that the people who were censoring were the good guys? They're always the bad guys, because it's always the first step down that slippery slope to totalitarianism.
That's a fact, Jack. I got to say, is 100% right. The warning signs are everywhere. And interestingly enough, this time the fascists call themselves liberals and shout down and censor anyone that begs to differ, because that's what fascistas do. Robert F. Kennedy on stage with Donald John Trump.
We talked about not about the things that separate us because we don't agree on everything, but on the values and the issues that bind us together. And one of the issues that he talked about was having safe food and ending the chronic disease epidemic.
Some pretty crazy numbers on that chronic disease front, too. Like 6% of the population in the United States used to have chronic disease. Now 60% do, or something like that. I don't think it's all because of Cheetos. I like Cheetos, but never mind that. RFK Jr., who met up with President Trump in Glendale, Arizona on Friday.
Our children are now the unhealthiest, sickest children in the world. Don't you want healthy children? And don't you want the chemicals out of our food? And don't you want the regulatory agencies to be free from corporate corruption?
This is a Trump crowd.
And don't you want a president that's going to make America healthy again?
Make America healthy again. Maha. Maha would be not MAGA, but Maha. Isn't that amazing? President Trump with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in Arizona on Friday, Glendale, Arizona. Also talking about the Democrat Party and whatever happened to that Democrat Party.
Gone forever is the old Democratic Party of FDR, JFK, and that's right, even Bill Clinton. Kamala Harris's Democrat Party is the party of free health care for illegal aliens, communist-style price controls, defund the police. All her life she wants to defund the police.
All her life she wants to defund the police. She's a police defunder from way back. You know how she is. And now, I think we've got some audio of the media, too, saying, oh, well, she doesn't have to answer. She hasn't flip-flopped. And John Carl on ABC Fake News and so on. It's good to be a Democrat because you don't have to campaign at all. The news media does it for you. They are your shills, your mouthpieces. You might have to, pony up some sex every now and then, which they do a lot of back and forth on that stuff. You know that the best-selling Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifier uses Oxy technology that helps to quickly destroy a whole lot of different viruses, odors, mold, and more in your home, at your office. Thousands of 5-star reviews online. Take a look for yourself. Works like a champ. We've got 2 of them at home. Any smell will vanish in just a few seconds with the thunderstorm being on. Odors from litter boxes, trash cans, cigarette smoke, dirty diapers, left-wing protesters, no match for the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. The powerful thunderstorm sends out these O3 molecules that help seek out and destroy odors. These molecules go underneath furniture, behind furniture. Nothing can hide from the thunderstorm. And you don't have to buy filters over and over again like you have to with some air purifiers. You can hold one in your hand. They're only this big, just like this. Start enjoying your home again. Clean, fresh air. Get several Eden Pure thunderstorms for whole home protection, because right now you can save $200 on an Eden Pure thunderstorm 3-pack for a whole home protection. You're going to get 3 units for under $200. You can put one in your basement, your teenager's room, in your kitchen, any place you like to breathe clean, fresh air. All you have to do is go to EdenPureDeals.com. EdenPureDeals.com. Use the discount code Chris3, Chris and the number 3, to save $200. That's EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is Chris3. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-da-ba-ba. Yeah, more President Trump, and we got RFK Jr. He showed up on a Sunday talk show. His own family attacking him, trying to assassinate his character, and your media friends still coming up. All right, let's go to the telephones once again before getting back to the big news of the day. Let's go to Eduardo calling from Tampa, Florida. Eduardo, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Yeah, Chris, good morning. Thank you very much. Well, I saw this in Daily Mail that in the state of Oregon, any of your renter listeners may want to sneak over the border and come back in because they'll get $30K in taxpayer funds to get a home. How about that deal?
I saw that on the big screen because Jasmine put it on the big screen for me, and that is a fact. First-time home buyers in Oregon are being encouraged to apply for a taxpayer-funded $30,000 grant for down payment assistance on buying a home, but only non-U.S. citizens need apply.
There you go. Yep.
What does that tell you?
Go in and sneak over that border and come back. Yep.
What does that tell you, Eduardo? What does that tell you about the Democratic Party?
The Santa Claus Party. The Guerrero Lacran Party. Yeah.
And they are undoing the United States of America. They're bankrupting us, and, you know, it's the fundamental transformation of America, Eduardo, right?
There you go. Yep, you hit it on the mark.
And they told us, and Barack Obama told us, the fundamental transformation of America, and he told us we better learn to speak Spanish because, and you know that he's behind the curtain for the 4 years of the Biden-Harris administration. You know that he is the man with his hand up in the Kamala Harris puppet, and he was mentored by a member of the Communist Party in the United States, Frank Marshall Davis. He's a Saul Alinsky follower, and they are on track to completely undo the United States of America and make it unrecognizable. Eduardo, thank you. Great call. The Democrats and the news media, but I repeat myself. You may remember the radical left-wing extremist, fake journalist Ali Velci. He is an MSNBC person. They pay him large sums of money to lie and be a fraud. And during the St. George Floyd riots, he was standing in front of a burning city block where millions had been killed, everybody died. And he told us that, oh, really, it's pretty mellow. We're just hanging out with our friends here.
I want to be clear in how I characterize this. This is mostly a protest. It is not, generally speaking, unruly, but fires have been started.
But the city block is burning, but it's not generally unruly, other than the rioting and the arson and the injured police officers and the looting. And Ali Velci, who wins awards for journalism from filthy, corrupt, awful people, and it's not unruly. It's mostly peaceful. You know, we have our mostly peaceful T-shirts and coffee mugs at the Chris Plant store. And remember normal. Remember normal should be more prevalent than ever. We brought out Ali Velci from the St. George Floyd riots because in England, have you heard of it? It's a country across the Atlantic Ocean. They were having a carnival, a festival in Notting Hill in London. It's a nice neighborhood in London. And then things got a little bit hinky. UK Notting Hill carnival chaos leaves 3 people stabbed, 90 people arrested, 15 officers assaulted, and it turns out a bunch of women sexually assaulted too. The news media won't tell you that it's like an al-Qaeda offshoot of immigrants to the United Kingdom, where the most popular name for a newborn boy is Mohammed in England, and where the leaders of radical Islamic groups are saying out loud that they're taking over England by their birth rate. All right? And pretty amazing stuff. At least 10 people were arrested for assaulting emergency workers. That's police and firefighters and ambulance people coming to get the stabbed. At least 3 people were stabbed during the opening day of Notting Hill Carnival in London on Sunday, that's yesterday, with one still listed in life-threatening condition, according to the city's police. London Metropolitan Police said on X they should be banned for putting out disinformation, shouldn't they? It was aware of 3 stabbings, one of which involved a 32-year-old woman who was hospitalized with life-threatening injuries. Also stabbed a 29-year-old man, a 24-year-old man, the former of whom was listed with non-life-threatening injuries. Police were waiting on the condition of the 24-year-old. So hundreds of thousands of people came to Notting Hill Carnival to enjoy a fantastic celebration. Our officers have been on duty working to keep them safe as part of a very carefully planned policing operation, police said. Regrettably, a minority. That's racist. Isn't it racist to say a minority? A minority came to commit crime and engage in violence. And so people stabbed 15 officers, assaulted, and things turned violent. Some of the officers, So police made 90 arrests for various offenses. 10 people arrested assaulting emergency workers, 18 for possession of an offensive weapon, 4 for sexual offenses. You know, a lot of the jihadis, all the Western women are loose, and so they assault them. It's a very common thing. 1 for theft, 4 for robbery, 6 for assault, 1 for public disorder offense, 8 for possession of drugs with intent to distribute, 30 for possession of drugs, 4 arrests were for possession of nitrous oxide, whippets, whip it good. They got that. And that's just, that's perfectly normal now because this is what we do now. Also in Germany, and they were staying very quiet on this for a couple of days, but now it turns out in Germany there was a festival where 3 people were stabbed to death and 9 more were stabbed and injured, and they remained silent about it in Germany for several days. Then we updated this morning, Syrian man who's in Germany illegally is the one that has been arrested for stabbing 3 people to death at the festival and stabbing 9 other people with a big knife. Police in Germany arrest a 26-year-old man over the Solengren stabbing attack, and they finally got around to releasing his name and all of that stuff. But a Syrian illegal alien in Germany. All right, German prosecutors have named the man suspected of carrying out a knife attack at a festival that killed 3 people and injured, this says 8. I thought it was 9 originally. Maybe one got better. A Syrian national named Isa Al-H. Just H, Al-H. Maybe he's a rapper, too. Omitting his family name because of German privacy laws. 26-year-old man turned himself into police. He's bragging about it on Saturday during a major manhunt. They're looking into possible links to ISIS. Yeah, well, one way or the other. And ISIS actually said they're taking responsibility for it, even though they may have nothing to do with this guy. It's they lie like Democrats over at ISIS. Amazing stuff. So they're investigating the man who had applied for asylum in Germany, arrested him for suspicion of the 3 murders and and attempted murders, because this is all fine. This is the left, open borders. Everybody's the same. Just wave everybody in, because that's what they do. So Germany, 3 people murdered, 8 or 9 more stabbed. In London, Notting Hill, they're not releasing the identity, which is usually a clue, because political correctness reigns supreme. Yes, sir. Let's get back to some, oh yeah, that's right. I wanted to get to the Sky News, because the Sky News lady, because they love this. Ali Velshi with his George Floyd. Well, the city block is burning behind me, but it's not unruly. They lie. It's the old, you're going to believe Ali Velshi or your lying eyes. Here's what you're watching on television. He tells you it's something other than that. Sky News, which is owned by the same people as Fox News, but in Great Britain. And Sky News reporting on the Notting Hill attacks, and listen, but mostly it was real nice.
They've given us an update that they've made 38 arrests and recovered 4 knives. And they said a man believed to be in his 20s has been stabbed. His injuries are not life-threatening. But overall, it's been a really peaceful and enjoyable day.
But overall, it's been a peaceful and enjoyable day. Other than the stabbings and the arrests and the additional knives and the drug dealers and the assaults on women, because cultural norms are different in different parts of the world. And when you import a lot of people from a part of the world where the cultural norms are very different than your cultural norms, they bring their cultural norms with them. And they stab people and assault women and murder people and then laugh in your face when you take them away. That's the thing, is that, Great Britain, comparatively civilized, and this, colonialism. Yeah, they brought modernity at the time, but never mind that. So Sky News doing the old MSNBC Ali Velshi. It was really very nice. Overall, very peaceful and enjoyable day, if you don't count the stabbings and the sexual assaults and the injured police and all the violence.
It is not generally speaking unruly, but fires have been started.
Yes, indeed. Crazy man, crazy. That's the world we live in. And the left is here to make sure that there's more of this, because they are hostile to us. And the left has lots of power, what being in control of the Democratic Party and everything. And so they open our borders, they wave in the Venezuelan gangs, the Venezuelans empty their prisons, they laugh at us, they scoff at us, just like the Cubans did back during the Mariel boat lift way back when, and all of that. And let's get back to President Trump, because he's getting a lot done, and he's we need truth. If you believe in truth, you must vote for Donald Trump. And there's, Trump lies all the time. I saw it in the Washington Post. See what President Trump has said and then what he's done. See what Kamala Harris has said. See what Joe Biden has said and then what they've done. And President Trump telling the truth about what we're looking, number 11, about what we're looking at in the United States today. And RFK Jr. is with him.
The true divide in American politics today is between these far-left fascists led by Harris and her group, and you know who her group is, and citizens of all political backgrounds who love our country, share traditional American values, the values that you have right here in this great state, and look past our differences to unite around a thing called our great American flag.
Well, we played the audio last week on CNN with the guest on the panel saying, wow, you guys, I saw on one night at the Democratic convention, there were some people in the audience waving the American flag. And we know that, usually you guys burn the American flag because that's what you do. And you burn businesses and police cars, and you burn cities because St. George Floyd, the career criminal junkie, died of heart failure while resisting arrest and became an instant hero of the Democrat Party. But, you know, they love the American flag as long as it's burning.
These American flags were sort of startling to me, Van. Normally you guys are burning these things, but tonight you're waving them. Just kidding.
Oh, they're waving them. That's pretty amazing. You know, isn't that amazing? Now, Eric Schmidt, a journalist, Eric Schmidt, posted on Twitter 2 pictures of Tim Walz. And here's Tim Walz on the left with his dog, and he says, sending a special birthday shout out for our favorite pup, Scout, and it's a black lab. And then on the right, beautiful day to be at the dog park. I know Scout enjoyed it. And here is Tim Walz with a completely different dog, a light brown and white dog, just a brown and white dog. And there's his black lab on the left. He says that's his dog Scout. And then over here, kind of brown and white mutt-looking dog. And he says, here I am with my dog Scout. And they're obviously 2 completely different dogs. Maybe sometimes Scout identifies as a dog of color, and other times he identifies as a light Caucasian Hispanic dog. The first comment on the X thread says, isn't that amazing? And Eric Schmidt says, why would Tim Walz do this? It's creepy and weird. Pretty funny. Pretty funny stuff. Yes, sir. Yeah, and I apologize. It's Senator Eric Schmidt, not the journalist Eric Schmidt. Different. So this is Senator Eric Schmidt who posted this. Said that's weird, and it is, and good for Senator Eric Schmidt because that's good stuff, and these people are absurd. They lie about their dogs. Hey, here's my dog Scout. Here's a completely different dog. Hey, here's my dog Scout. But that's, like, one's a Chihuahua, the other one's a Great Dane. Hey, here's my family dog Scout. You people you really are freaks. You're weirdos. Freakazoid weirdos. Yeah, so I apologize to Senator Eric Schmidt. But good job by Senator Eric Schmidt on the That's great. All right, let's go to number 12. Number 12. President Trump on Friday had a big day on Friday. We're still playing catch up from all the things that have happened. President Trump.
We should speak to our great congressmen and congresswomen. They ought to make it illegal to burn the American flag. If you burn the American flag, you go to jail for 1 year. 1 year, that's all, 1 year. You burn the American flag, because in Chicago at the Democrat deal, they were burning flags all over the place. You burn the American flag. They say it's unconstitutional to do that. I think it's constitutional. You burn the American flag, you go to jail for 1 year. Nobody's going to be burning the American flag anymore.
Now, it was established in a Supreme Court case a great many years ago that burning the American flag is as protected free speech. And honestly, I would go with the Supreme Court decision long ago that it's protected free speech to burn the American flag. And it tells you who they are. It reveals the people for who they are. So the Democrats keep burning the American flag and dancing on it, and they occasionally set themselves on fire while they're burning the American flag. You're on fire, stupid! And all that good stuff. But I wouldn't put you in jail for a year for burning the American flag. They're burning the Israeli flag and the American flag. It reveals who they are. It's their way of telling us who they are and what they believe. It's a Democrat Party tradition, too, and we wouldn't want to step on Democrat Party traditions. Now, the Babylon Bee, the satirical outlet, the Babylon Bee, with a great headline over the weekend. Trump adds a Kennedy in hopes he will draw all the sniper fire. See, I shared that several times over the weekend. I got a too soon question mark, and I think no. And I see there's at least one caller on the line talking about similar things. Trump adds a Kennedy in hopes he will draw all the sniper fire. See, President Trump was shot through the ear by a sniper who's a Democrat, and the FBI is keeping him a secret. Let's go to Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s sister, Carrie Kennedy, who also talks a little funny, selling out her brother on behalf of the Democratic Party.
I'm outraged and disgusted by my brother's gaudy and obscene embrace of Donald Trump.
Gaudy and obscene.
And I completely disavow and separate and dissociate myself from Robert Kennedy Jr. in this flagrant and inexplicable effort to desecrate and trample and set fire to my father's memory.
Then she bought a sandwich for Sirhan Sirhan. The Kennedy family betraying the Kennedy family because turns out Camelot really is just a gentleman's club in Washington, D.C., where they got a table set aside for Hunter Biden. Isn't that amazing? I mentioned President Trump went to Arlington National Cemetery today to be there for the wreath laying, commemorate the 3rd anniversary of the Abbey Gate terrorist bombing that killed 13 Americans. Jim Acosta on CNN was very angry with President Trump and attacked him for being at Arlington Cemetery today.
Former President Trump was at Arlington National Cemetery where he marked the 3-year anniversary of the bombing that killed 13 service members during the Afghanistan withdrawal. This is someone who, according to his own former chief of staff, said Americans who died in war are, quote, suckers and losers. Trump denies that, although John Kelly confirms that Trump did say that.
Confirms.
He more recently said a civilian award is, quote, better than the Medal of Honor. You're a former Army Ranger. Is he politicizing these soldiers' deaths? Should he even be at Arlington National Cemetery if he's going to make some politics out of this?
Now, that's Jim Acosta, but General Kelly confirms President Trump says he didn't say it didn't happen. I think there are 19 other people who have said they were there and that he didn't say it didn't happen. And, you know, General Kelly's wonderful. They obviously don't like each other, a disagreement there. But he's got a he said, and Jim Acosta is spectacularly corrupt and should be fired.